Hello and Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Faizan Khan, along with my team members Muhammad Kaif, Aquib Haidar, and Abdur Rehman, will be presenting an article on the topic Sarcasm, Self-Depreciation and Inside Joke, a user's guide to humor at work. This presentation is based on research by Brad Bitterly and Alison Woodbrooks. We will take you through how humor can become a powerful tool for leadership and workplace relationships. Now, coming to slide 2, humor isn't just about being funny, it's about being human. This presentation explains how humor, especially sarcasm, self depreciation, and inside joke, can positively impact our workplaces. The author argued that humor is often underused, but when done right, it improves leadership effectiveness and workplace culture. We will look at the benefits, risks, and best practices of using humor throughout fully. Now, coming to slide 3, research study humor's impact on perception. Let's start with an eye opening research study. Participants were asked to create ad campaign for a fictional travel site called visitswitzerland.ch, inspired by a Swiss landscape photo. Now, two presenters gave speeches. One kept it serious, the other made a simple pun, saying the Swiss flag is a big plus. That small joke made a big difference. The jokey presenter was seen as more confident, more competent, and was more likely to be chosen as a leader. This study shows that even light humor can change how people perceive us in professional setting. Now coming to slide 4, humor's role in leadership and relationship. Now let's look at how humor fits into leadership and teamwork. Most of us value humor in personal relationship, but at work it is often seen as unprofessional or risky. However, research shows humor can actually enhance communication, build trust, and strengthen social bonds in teams. The problem is many leaders use humor instinctively, not strategically. By understanding when and how to use humor, leaders can create more connected and resilient team. Now, Akib Haidar will carry forward this presentation. Thank you.
Faizan, my name is Aquib and I will carry forward from here. Benefits of humor in the workplace. This section highlights the positive impacts of humor in a professional setting. Build trust. Humor fosters interpersonal trust and high quality work relationship. By sharing a laugh, colleagues can connect on a more personal level, creating a sense of camaraderie and mutual understanding. Enhances performance. Humor positively influences job performance, satisfaction, and organizational commitment. A light-hearted atmosphere can reduce stress, boost morale, and make more enjoyable, ultimately leading to increased productivity and a stronger dedication to the organization. Encourages creativity. Humor promotes psychological safety and a desire to collaborate again. When people feel comfortable enough to joke around, it often indicates a safe environment where they are also more likely to share ideas and take creative risks without fear of judgment. Risk of humor when jokes fall flat. This section causes about the potential downsides and negative consequences of poorly executed humor. Unfunny jokes. Joke, Jokes that miss the mark can make the joke teller appear less intelligent and competent. Failed attempts at humor can damage an individual's credibility and professional image. Offensive humor. Humor can be viewed as inappropriate and harm professional standing. Jokes that are sexist, racist, or otherwise offensive can create a hostile work environment, damage relationships, and lead to serious repercussions. Potential consequences. The negative outcomes of inappropriate or unfunny humor can include lower status and, in extreme cases, job loss. Depending on the severity and context, poorly received humor can significantly professional ramification. Humor and status. Climbing the hierarchy. This section explores the relationship between humor and professional advancement. Humor as a status tool. Effective humor helps individuals climb organizational hierarchies. Strategic and well-received humor can make individuals more likable, relatable, and influential within an organization. Leadership perception. Funny and appropriate jokes increase chances of leadership nomination. Leaders who use humor effectively are often seen as more approachable, charismatic, and well rounded, increasing their appeal for leadership roles. Enhanced leadership. Humor improves employees' happiness, communication, and voluntary organizational behaviors. Leaders who incorporate humor into their communication can foster a more positive and engaged workforce, leading to better collaboration and a stronger organizational culture. Why humor works? The benign violation theory. These slides break down the benign violation theory, which posits that humor arises from situations that are perceived as both a violation and harmful and harmless simultaneously. Benign violation. Humor arises when something is both a violation and perceived as harmless. This means that the situation presents something that deviates from the norm, is unexpected or even slightly threatening, but ultimately is seen as safe, playful, or inconsequential. The violation aspect can range from minor social faux pas to more significant but still unreal threat. The benign aspect ensures that the negative implications of the violation are minimized or absent. Study findings. Participants laughed more at scenarios that were violation but not overly threatening. This highlights the delicate balance required for something to be perceived as funny. If a situation is too harmful or genuinely threatening, it will likely not be seen as humorous. The harmlessness needs to outweigh the perceived violation. Psychological safety. Humor that respects safety boundaries is more likely to be successful and appreciated. This emphasizes the importance of context and social awareness in humor. Jokes that are respectful, considerate of others' feelings, and do not cross personal or social boundaries are more likely to be well received. Humor that violates genuine safety or well established norm can be offensive rather than funny. Confidence and competence through humor. This slide explores how use of humor can influence perceptions of individuals' confidence and competence. Confidence projection. Attempting humor signals courage and boosts perceived confidence. When someone attempts to be funny, it can be interpreted as a sign of self assurance and a willingness to take social risks. Even if the joke doesn't land perfectly, the act of trying can project confidence. Competition, competence perception. Socially appropriate norms violation through humor increase perception of intelligence and competence. Humor that demonstrates an understanding of social norms and the ability to playfully deviate from them can signal intellectual agility and social intelligence. Well-timed and relevant humor can make someone appear sharp and quick-witted. Prestige and wit. Witty conversationalists gain admiration and higher status. Individuals who can consistently use humor effectively in conversation are often seen as more engaging, intelligent, and socially skilled. This can lead to increased admiration from others and a rise in their social standing within a group or organization. In summary, these slides explain that humor works when it presents a harmless violation of expectation or norm. Furthermore, the skillful use of humor can positively influence how others perceive an individual's confidence, competence, and overall status. It suggests that humor, when used appropriately and respectfully, can be valuable tool for social interaction and professional advancement. From here, Abdul Rehman will carry forward.
Hello, my name is Abdur Rehman. Till now, we got to know how humor can make our conversation interesting and can grab the attention of audience. But there is a fine line between humor and inappropriate humor, which shouldn't be crossed because an inappropriate humor can be counterproductive. Uh, One can depict himself as a confident person by making inappropriate jokes and through inappropriate humor, but it can taper down one's image and his image about his competence. Inappropriate humor can be a very costly mistake because sometimes it can completely turn around uh, the potential positive result to our negative result. And humor should be always used purposefully, strategically, and thoughtfully. We should always try to maintain the balance between the benefit and the risk that comes with the humor. And it is important for us to make sure that that balance is maintained so that it will not harm our purpose. To understand the humor, it is important for the audience to know the context behind that joke or the sarcasm. So we should always try to make sure that before landing our jokes, the audience understand the context of our joke. Also, it is important uh, for us to know the context of place, audience, and time uh, to make sure that we use perfect humor and joke for those place, time, and the audience. Now we will talk about the inside joke and where we can use it and where we shouldn't use those inside jokes. So inside joke means the jokes which can be understood by the limited people and the jokes whose context is understood by a limited people, the inside, basically the insiders. So inside jokes can be made in a place where there are a lot of insider, where there are people who understand the context of the joke. But in a place where there are a lot of outsider who don't understand the context of the joke, mostly these settings and these in a professional or a consequential setting, there are a lot of outsider. And when we make insider joke in those setting, those outsiders can feel excluded and disrespected. So making inside jokes in a place where there are a lot of outsider can be, harmful to our purpose. Now we will know, already got to know that how sarcasm is a very intelligent and subtle way to deliver our message, but it is important to know that the risk that comes with the sarcasm. One of the major problem with sarcasm is that sometimes it could be misunderstood and a very unintended message can be delivered to the audience and it can make our conversation very confusing. So the sarcasm should be only made with the people with we have established relationship or those people with who understand us and understand our sarcasm. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Now I will be continuing with self deprecation, warm with limits. Let's begin with self deprecating humor. When we make light hearted jokes about ourselves, used correctly, this form of humor can make us appear warm, humble, and even more competent. Why? Because people see honesty, confidence, and the ability to laugh at one's flaws. For example, a job candidate once said, I can add and subtract, but geometry is where I draw the line. That's clever, and research shows that people found him more capable than someone who said the same thing seriously. But here's the warning, don't joke about your core skills, especially if people are not sure about your abilities yet. If you are financial analyst, don't joke that you are bad at numbers. It sends the wrong message. So use self deprecating humor when the weakness is minor or when it helps take the edge off something negative you need to fear. Now moving on to the next slide. Humor to dodge difficult questions. Now what about tough questions? The kind you would rather avoid. Sometimes humor is the smartest shield. Take US President Ronald Reagan, for example, when asked if his age would affect his leadership, he said, I would not exploit my opponent's youth and inexperience. That line turned the conversation and the crowd in his favor. Humor like this works because it redirects attention, and lifts the mood. But remember, it only works if the audience finds it funny. If there's even a small chance it would not land, be ready with a serious answer too. Moving on to the next slide, humor in delivering negative feedback. Giving negative feedback is tricky. Nobody likes to feel criticized. Some leaders use humor to soften the message, like Abraham Lincoln, who once told his general, "If you don't want to use the army, I would like to borrow it for a while." That's funny, but still clear. Humor can make feedback more memorable and less threatening. But be careful. If the issue is not obvious, joking about it might make it seem unimportant. So use humor only when the message is clear and you want to make it easier to hear, not easier to ignore. Moving on to the next slide, humor as coping mechanism. Next, humor as a coping tool. When people go through tough times, humor can help them manage stress and emotions. After the 2016 US election, studies show that people who joke about the outcome felt better, not just in the moment, but even months later. In extreme situations like prisoners of war, humor helps people survive emotionally. Why? Because it distracts the brain and shifts focus away from pain. But again, timing matters. Don't joke too soon or in ways that might offend someone. Keep it light and positive, especially when the emotions are still fresh. Now, moving on to the next slide, using humor wisely at work. So, how do we use humor smartly at work? First, read the room. Adapt your humor to the audience, situation, and culture. Second, stay authentic. You don't need to tell jokes if that's not your style. A witty comment, a playful email, or even a warm smile can make a big difference. And finally, appreciate others' humor. Laughing at a colleague's jokes, sharing a light moment, these things build connection. In short, you don't have to be a comedian, you just need to be a human. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaif. Now I will be taking over and I will be discussing how to use humor effectively at work, when to use humor and when to avoid humor. Like to when to use humor. Inside jokes to bond when exclusion isn't harmful. Sarcasm to boost creativity with trusted colleagues. Self-depreciation to soften negative disclosures. Humor to dodge tough question if confident. Humor as coping when close with the group. When to avoid humor. Inside jokes that exclude key members. Sarcasm with new or untrusting teams. Self-depreciation on core skills or without trust. Humor to dodge question without confidence. Humor too soon after serious events. To conclude, I would like to say humor is a powerful leadership tool that, when used thoughtfully, can enhance trust, creativity, communication, and team cohesion in the workplace. However, its effectiveness depends heavily on context, timing, and the relationship involved. Different types of humor, sarcasm, self depreciation, inside jokes can either strengthen or damage professional standing based on how and when they are used. Ultimately, leaders don't need to be comedians, but recognizing and appreciating humor can foster a more positive, resilient, and a productive work culture. Thank you.